If you're just coming into this episode, this is actually part two of a two-part episode. So you might want to go back to episode 75, listen to that first, then come back here, because a lot of this might be confusing if you don't. So thanks. All right. Hello, dickheads. Richard by himself today. Thanks a lot for listening, guys. Lately, you guys have been killing it on the reviews and killing it on the plays. So that's good to hear. That's good to see. I'm enjoying that. I just want to let you guys know that I'm doing another episode about Dr. Sam Sheppard, just about the theories. You saw what happened in that episode. I very much made it sound like I thought Sam Sheppard was guilty and kind of like buried the lead on that a little bit. There are theories, and I'll go through them today. That's what I think I'm going to do. I decent sized little Word document here of just theories that we didn't even talk about. I feel like you guys deserve to hear about it. That, and it helps me out with my next little busy strip coming up, and I don't have to write a full episode. I'll just give myself a week extra time to do other things, just to give you guys the episode that you guys deserve in the near future, because I'm going to be super busy. So without further ado, here is Dr. Sam Sheppard. Did he murder Marilyn, his wife? Part two.
An elite team of private detectives.
What if balloons are aliens? Maybe that's the key component we're missing.
Cover-ups.
John's guilty.
Mysteries that need to be solved.
Maybe Mormons need mountains.
Richard, shut up.
Now, before I get started on this quick little episode here, I do want to make a correction from the first episode. Instead of saying Indiana, I said I went to university in India for some reason. And then I didn't even know I said it like that until I was listening back and recording or editing. And then I heard Celeste say it later in the episode, but I thought she was just like making a joke, like as in far away. But no, it's because I said India. That's not what I meant. Indiana. He went to university in Indiana. All right. So sometimes I just talk fast and I don't know what I'm saying. Okay. I write so much and I want to get it out and I want to tell you guys all about it. And sometimes I get a little excited, get a little overzealous, and I say words wrong. You guys know this. You guys know this about me. Here come the theories. And by the way, guys, when I was strolling through at the end of the episode, the last episode with Celeste and Bo and RJ, I was scrolling through it real quick at the end, and I might have said some of this stuff in the episode. I'm gonna try to avoid that, but if I say some repeat stuff, trust me, it's part of a larger thing that I definitely did not say. So yeah, bear with me. Thanks a lot, guys. So theory number one, if should we do a quick recap of the last episode? Sam Sheppard pretends he wakes up in the middle of nowhere. It'll give itself a recap as I do this, I think. Theory number one. Sam did it and his brother slash brothers helped him do it. I'm not sure if it was both his brothers. I don't even know if it was one of his brothers. I don't even know if anybody helped him, but this theory says that either Stephen, Richard, or a combination of Stephen and Richard helped him out. So let's just talk about what circumstantial evidence the state had over Sam Sheppard. I told you about all the media manipulation and why he got off, but I didn't really explain the day that well. So, and I mean the day of the murder when I say that. So when cops show up at the Sheppard house, the master bedroom was full of blood spatter. Upon further examination of the scene, there was a void at the end of the bed where the murderer must have been standing, meaning whoever would have been standing there would have been covered in blood instead of the wall behind. I mean, it was, to say the least, a mess. There are you can look up the Marilyn Sheppard crime scene photos. You can see what I'm talking about in this. And let's just say it's not as gruesome as what our current movie watching horror movie, like it's not that gory, but it's definitely, you could definitely understand the scene a lot better if you kind of see how messy it actually was. If you go look, you'll see that Marilyn's laying at the foot of the bed, feet draped over the end of the bed between the bed frame and the mattress. Her head was on a pillow, bashed in. Her PJ top was pulled over her breasts. Tits were out. Pants are off. One leg out of the rest of the pants, like the pants are hanging off the bottom of the other leg. She had a sheet covering her bottom half. Sam later says to the police that he covered her to preserve her dignity. When the police do get there, Sam isn't wearing a shirt and he's soaking wet. Sam claims he awoke and he wasn't wearing a t-shirt, but he fell asleep on that day with one on the day bed. I don't know. Like that makes sense to me. Like it's not like he wouldn't have been wearing a shirt when he had his friends over. You know what I mean? It wasn't the time. Like maybe they were having their shirts off. I don't see that. So he went to bed with a t-shirt on for sure. Sam couldn't sufficiently explain that to anybody. And if this was a robbery, which we'll talk about in a bit more in a bit second, why the fuck would a bloody ass murderer want to steal a t-shirt off the one guy who can stop him's back? You know what I mean? You just run away. His pants, like Sam's pants, had blood on them, not a huge amount, not as if he was the one standing there doing the bashing. The blood in his pants were on his knees, like he was like leaning in the blood. He says that the blood came from when he went to check Marilyn's pulse. So he leaned on the bed, kind of got blood on his knee. He was drenched, like from water. He claims this is when he had the fight with the assailant on the beach. And then when he's like choked out, and then he woke up in the water. Police go down to check at the beach, just to see if there's any type of evidence of a scuffle. None that they could detect. Nothing there. And like I said to Celeste in the other episode, this is Lake Erie. It's not the ocean where tides could wash away the evidence. Now, as far as the robbery is concerned, there are a few things that make it look fishy. And I alluded to them in the script if I didn't say them straight up. First of all, when Jeremy Houck finds the bag with the missing keys, watch, and fraternity ring, the bag's just sitting there on the edge of a neighboring property in the bushes. It's not like hidden away, it's just far away, I guess. The watch had the water underneath the face of it and had little drops of blood on it, right? Sam explains that the water on the face of the watch is when he went golfing with his NFL quarterback buddy, Otto Graham of the Cleveland Browns, and they'd gotten stuck in the rain. Just a weird side note, the morning when the police were swarming the Sheppard's house, Otto came by to check to see what was going on at his neighbor's house. He saw the police activity. So his NFL quarterback buddy says, let's go check it out. Otto's wife and Marilyn were very friendly, and they live in the same neighborhood. And whenever Otto was out on the season, like training and doing games and stuff, Otto's wife and Marilyn would spend a lot of time together. So it wasn't like Otto was super close with Sam, but him and his wife, like the wives were close. It's not like they weren't friends either. Like Sam's not lying when he says friend, quarterback friend. But anyway, so Otto goes to check out what's going on. Police let him in. Police are just like, yeah, go check it out. Go look in the bedroom. See, what do you think happened, buddy? And then Otto leaves and he goes and talks to the media right away. He's like, oh my God, it looks like someone stood in the middle of the room with a great big can of red paint and a brush and flicked it all around. This wasn't a couple of blows. Oh no. Whoever did it, they had to be out of their mind. Yeah, the media's getting quotes from everyone. I don't know. This Otto guy's really, Otto Graham, Mr. NFL, is really enjoying talking about it to the media, which is crazy to me. I sensationalism with the media here. So the blood spatter on the watch, Sam says, must have been from when he checked Marilyn's pulse as well. Most forensic experts, especially now, say the blood is from spatter, not from transfer. Like it had to have been flicked on there. Like Celeste was making fun of it last episode, but it's true. There is one guy that says it isn't from that. He didn't prove it in any way. He was definitely one of the defense lawyers, witnesses that, yeah, it was from blood transfer, a guy named Dr. Kirk that we talked about him in the last episode. He just said it. He didn't prove it. He just said that's what it's from. He didn't have any science. He's just like, dude, that's what happened. Don't worry about that. So Kirk was grilled on the stand about it. And like I said, no science to back it up. It seems that whoever committed this murder must have been wearing the watch. So that's something. Also about the robbery that is a little fishy. The more you looked at the ransacked house, the more it looked as if it was staged. Like the drawers were all taken out as if they're searched through, but they're pulled out of the cabinets and stacked nicely on the side. I think I said that in the last episode as well. In the den, a high school trophy of Sam's and a bowling trophy of Marilyn's were broken and scratched on the floor. Sam's black medical bag was tipped over at the end of the hallway and its contents dumped all over the wooden flooring. The only thing Sam said that was missing was some morphine pill capsules that he used for emergencies. And even that seems unlikely because there were many valuable things in the house that weren't stolen. You know what I mean? Like if this is a drug thing, you think these guys would be going for all sorts of stuff. Like Sam's wallet. Yeah, he had a lot of money, and I don't know about a lot, but he had money in it for sure. And Sam said that he was surprised it wasn't missing either. He said that when he got choked out from behind the first time, he woke up and the first thing he saw was his wallet. And he went, "Oh, I better pick that up." And then went and checked Marilyn's pulse and then went to see if Chip was okay. So like money, Marilyn, kid. Just saying. That's the order of checking. So back to the blood for a bit. There were drops of blood from the bedroom to the back door outside. The Sheppards claimed that this would have to be the blood of the perpetrator, who is going to be dripping the blood out there. It can't be, unless he's absolutely covered in Marilyn's blood, which he probably would have been. He wouldn't have been dropping blood all the way down the stairs. He must have been hurt in some way. So the reason the Sheppards claim the perp was bleeding is because they found two of Marilyn's teeth near her body. I think we talked about that too. These teeth came out when she bit the assailant as if he was attacking her. Forensic experts on the Sheppard side backed up this analysis. More than one forensic expert from the state say that it would be impossible for teeth to have broken off like that from a bite. These were broken teeth in half. If it were from like tugging, like from someone biting, they would have been pulled up from the roots. They wouldn't have broken like that. To this, the Sheppard team says that normally they would agree, but Marilyn had bad teeth and they would have had to been prone to breaking. They had broken already before. They had to get her teeth fixed. She had actually gross teeth, from what I understand. State still claims that that would be impossible, even with terrible teeth. So believe who you will on that one. I'm going to go with the many experts on the state side on this one, in my opinion. Another finding that wasn't debunked until the 2000 case was how the blood spatter ended up on the wall. The Sheppard team found out that with the angle of the blood spatter, it must have been a left-handed person swinging the weapon. Remember we talked about that? Dr. Kirk, I believe, also made that assertion. This fact wasn't disputed ever by the state in either trials because they didn't want to mention it because Dr. Sam Sheppard was right-handed. There was a study from the 90s that showed that just because your dominant hand is right or left doesn't mean you don't kill with either hand if given the situation's right. Sometimes you might have to use your dominant hand to actually hold down your victim or pin them down, and then use your less dominant hand to actually do the bashing. So being right-handed or left-handed, especially in a situation like that, doesn't really change much. At the civil trial, Little Chip's trial, the state had an FBI criminal profiler show up to just discuss, because they, like I said, the state had to prove that he actually murdered. So they wanted to show that this murder was actually a typical murder between a husband and a wife when someone loses control. So this FBI profiler read from the FBI handbook they have on different types of killers. They have like 36 different types or whatever it is. I can't remember. It was a bigger amount than I thought. And he reads the section about killing your significant other. He says the rage, usually if it's a man killing his wife, they bludgeon, they get their victim nude, then they cover them, then they get a friend to call in the murder. At first, they kind of made that sound like the profiler was talking about the Sam Sheppard case, but it really wasn't. He was actually reading word for word out of the actual text, which I find crazy, describing Marilyn's murder to a T and how like that is usually a husband. This really just shows that that Sam's doing it. Here's a lot of things building up here, but let's move on to the question: did Stephen help him cover it up? There is a camp of people that think if Sam did murder his wife, his brother Stephen, if not Richard and Stephen, are helping him. On the day of the murder, some people in Sam's neighborhood, or sorry, in Stephen's neighborhood, claimed to hear Stephen's Jaguar racing down the road at about 4:30 a.m. This would have been about an hour before he called Mayor Hauk to call in the actual murder. Another neighbor says that he sees Steve up before the 4:30 call to the police. Two people have seen Stephen awake at this time, which is not great for Stephen's case to actually whether he's involved in this. Another thing that Stephen was doing that was really weird during the investigation was that he was very territorial with his brother. He wouldn't let anyone discuss the case with his brother at all. And then he started like trying to move himself in to be like another person in the interviews with Sam. It was really weird, the police interviews. Then he takes Sam to the hospital. Don't forget about that. And then he gets the x-rays to show that he has spinal damage. It's just there's two x-rays done after the ones that like Stephen ordered. and neither of those x-rays showed any type of damage to the C2 vertebrae. But the x-ray that his brother Stephen gets, definitely. It's just funny. He still has the neck brace. The neck brace was not necessary. Like, if this is the case and the two are wrong and Stevens are right, then maybe there was a perpetrator. But like, who benefits from the state making up two x-rays or Sam's brother making up one x-ray? Like, just finding a different x-ray of broken C2s. You just put a neck brace on your brother. I get it. I get trying to be loyal to your brother, but dude, we know you helped. Like, I think you did anyway. Now, did Sam call his brother before the police? Seems like it. I mean, like, I don't think Steven participated in the murder, but like, let's talk about that. Let's think about that for a minute. Maybe he did. He dated Marilyn before Sam, and maybe there was feelings, and it got out of hand, and Steven killed her while Sam was sleeping downstairs. And the cover up wasn't a cover up for Sam, it was actually a cover up for Steven, and that's why Steven fights so hard. Sam's just the best brother in the world and would take a murder charge for his brother. You know, no offense to my brother, who you guys will meet next episode. I know he listens to this, but like, if you murder someone, you're on your own, pal. I'll for sure come visit you in jail and make sure your wife and kids are like great. But yeah, I'm not going to spend a couple decades in jail for you. Not good. Like, maybe it helped try cover it up for you. That's about it, though. I'm not taking the charge for you. Theory number two. This is Chip's theory. This is a lot of people's theory, actually, not just Chip. Richard Eberling, or the scruffy looking man. Sam Sheppard claimed that there was a white figure he fought off that night. At the beach, he noticed a guy had scruffy hair. We all know the story by now. We said it last episode. If you haven't, go back. That makes very little sense. Okay. What about Richard Eberling, the guy who had Marilyn's rings? Well, I told you I'd talk to you more about Eberling in the last episode, and I didn't. So here it comes. So when Eberling's arrested in November 1959, he's found with a couple of rings that belonged to Marilyn Sheppard, and he admitted to stealing them. He stole a couple months ago, a couple years after the trial, from Richard Sheppard Jr.'s house, the brother. He was a house cleaner, window cleaner, stuff like that, and he would go clean their house. And he found a box that was labeled personal property of Marilyn Sheppard. And he opened it up, saw two rings, took them. Stole a bunch of other stuff too, and wasn't just from Richard Sheppard. He was stealing from all sorts of people in and around that neighborhood. Anybody that hired him that he could get away with. He was pickpocketing. Well, pickpocketing is not the word. Stealing from. Okay. Police were questioning about a bunch of the other things that he'd stolen. He got caught stealing other things, and they found the rings, and then they said, "What are these from?" And he said, "They're personal property of Marilyn Sheppard." Like, he told them. And then they hear about this, and they know the whole Richard Sheppard thing's been big, so they kind of question further about the Marilyn Sheppard murder, and they clear him. But to the Sheppard team, who cares? Police cleared him. Who cares? They don't trust the cops anyway. They don't think anything the cops are saying are true, so they're start investigating more. And they say cops just have tunnel vision. We are open minded. Like, I feel like you guys have tunnel vision too, because like, it is your family, and you're like trying to get him out. So your tunnel's like just facing the opposite way. That's just me. So let's talk about it. Richard Eberling worked for Sam and Marilyn as their window cleaner during the same time as the murder. So that doesn't look good. And in a different set of questioning, Eberling admits that there would be blood at their house. His blood would be there. He claims that he cut himself at the house one day while cleaning the windows. He took a polygraph, unlike Sam Sheppard, and the polygraph came back saying that Eberling was not being deceptive. And after subsequent experts looked at the results, they claim these are Sheppard's experts looking at the results. They claim that he was being deceptive. Because of the polygraph pass in 1959, F. Lee Bailey didn't use him as an alternative suspect. But when the other expert that said that he was being deceptive, Bailey was confronted about that in 2000, the civil case. Bailey even admitted that he probably would have used him as a suspect. So even F. Lee Bailey could have used him for reasonable doubt. So that's interesting. Now, the woman Eberling was in jail for murdering was also found to have been beaten in the head to death. He had also apparently admitted to killing Marilyn not only to his cellmate, but to the lady he used to work for on the outside. Both of these witnesses' credibility at the civil trial was called into question. The DNA evidence that Gilbert and the Sheppard team said would finally prove who did this. Here it is. The first two trials didn't have DNA technology yet, so they didn't even really take the blood in a proper way, Like they didn't handle crime scenes the way they do now. They probably didn't wear gloves, they probably spit whenever they got a little dust in their mouth, stuff like that. They didn't handle crime scenes with the care that you do now because you know how much this evidence is valuable and useful. They tried to take the blood. They had some scrapings from blood from the scene, and it was all too deteriorated to do full-blown DNA on, but they definitely did typing on the blood back then. One of the Sheppard family experts claimed to be 90% sure that one of the blood spots they found at the scene belonged to Richard Eberling. Problem was, how do they know these samples from 45 years ago weren't contaminated? So they weren't allowed into evidence. Doesn't really matter though. Eberling's blood was type A. The blood found at the crime scene was type O. So even without DNA testing, you knew it wasn't Eberling. Richard Eberling died in 1998 in prison, so I guess we'll never know for sure. I'm guessing it's a big time no. The next theory is Sam had nothing to do with it. It was the scruffy haired guy. It was Esther Hauk, the jealous wife of the mayor. It was Richard Eberling. To me, it sounds like grasping at straws, really. There's no way anyone except the son of the man would believe any of these fantasies. Chip, Sam Sheppard, is stuck being the family member of a victim of a violent crime and your father doing it. I know you don't want to believe it, man. I know you don't want to accept that your dad killed your mom and your dad probably got what he deserved. And you don't deserve it. You don't deserve to share the name of a murderer. And I get that. You didn't do anything wrong. But Chip, if you're listening, you're not Sam Sheppard. Well, kind of are Sam Sheppard, but you're not that Sam Sheppard. You know, you're a good Sam Sheppard. I can feel it. You know, I want you to do well, Chip. I just want you to give this up. I know you probably have. It's been about 20 years since anyone's seen anything from you. But if this is still weighing on you, just let it go, dude. I know you took your murderer dad's ashes and put them with his victim as a last-ditch effort to keep mommy and daddy together. And you probably really regret that now after hearing all the evidence in the civil trial. But don't worry about it, dude. They're both dead and have been dead for a long time. And I'm sure they both loved you in their own way. You don't need a Zen master. They don't need a Zen master. Just let it go, man. Just don't be Sam Sheppard anymore. Be Chip. You know? I know this dominated your entire life and probably still does. There's a story about you having a little bit of a freak out when one of the forensic experts came to shake your hand at the civil trial. You're still that worked up about it. You little growled at the dude, apparently. I know it's just your frustration, man. But you're Chip. You're not Sam. Just give it up. So hopefully you guys enjoyed that little bit of a mini episode. We'll be back in a couple weeks. We'll meet my brother in the next episode. And yeah, we've got a couple crazy ones coming up your way very soon. So go give us a rating review. Thank you. Bye, Dickies. Bye, Dickheads.
I just watched Private Dicks and I think RJ's the funniest.
What? Come on.